So, welcome to Better Yourself podcast, your boy Phone Christ. Today is a special guest. It's a special day, by the way, because I have a special guest here. So, we're going to talk about money. So, her name is Anna, and she's known as Panda Boss. She's a money blogger. And this year, she also been actually nominated for the British Bank Award for for financial influencer of the year. So, that's actually a good thing. So, today, we're going to talk about passive income. Anna, she's somebody I actually discovered online. I was just going on YouTube. I was trying to find out how to trade. I just see a video. I was like, okay, next. I keep going to the next video. I was like, oh my God, I have to subscribe. So, and today I have her here. So before we start, I just want you to introduce yourself and just let other people know who you are. Scared.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Yeah.
So I'm Anna. I'm turning 29 this year. God, I feel like
Okay.
a number. I'm a chartered accountant. I live in London,
Yeah.
and I have a YouTube channel called Panda Boss. I've had it for about a year, almost a year now. And I love it. I talk about money, personal finance, investing, passive income, and generally the whole kind of financial independence thing. So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind year, but I'm loving it.
So you just say you're 29, right? Do you know you have 6 years left to be financially independent, right?
Yeah, scary.
Because I actually see, by the way, if you guys don't know about it, like, on the Instagram, she say you want to be financially independent by 35. So,
Yeah.
6 more years. How is it going? Are you near there or are you?
It's going really well, actually. Yeah. So considering where I started with about £35,000 of debt.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I can
so
see that. And
it was
that's,
crazy. So I've managed to get out of debt, and I've sort of broken up my financial independence into two separate goals. My first is like partial financial independence, which
yeah,
is the ability to not work full time. So that's my first goal, and I'm about 32% of the way there now.
yeah.
And then the second half will be like the full, just don't need to do anything. I can just choose to work if I want to. And
That's,
that will be sort of at 35. So
was it kind of scary, right? Knowing like you have like 36, K debt, that's like,
it
you end
was,
up, how did you end up like that? Like that was like mortgage, like student loan, like
no,
how?
so I don't count. So I do have a mortgage on this flat, but I
Okay.
don't actually count that as debt because I'd be paying rent anyway. So I sort of count it as that.
Oh, you kind
Uh,
of have that as well. That's a good thing, actually. Yeah, people don't think about it.
yeah, like I'd be paying rent anyway. So it's not really a debt per se. I mean, it is
Yeah.
if I wanted to move. So it is a bit
Mm.
of like a ball and chain. But other than that, I don't really include it in the debt figures. But I sort of got into debt when I was 21.
Yeah.
So I left uni and decided to get like a real world job
Mm.
because I wasn't really happy with my university course and things like that. And once I got a big girl job, I was like, oh, I can get a loan now.
Yeah.
So I took out a loan, and I wanted the loan for £4,000. And the bank was kind of really smart and was like, if you take out £7,000, you'll get a lower rate. And I was like,
They always
that
do that.
sounds great. I was young and naive, and I was just like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's go for it. And then I was like, this was really easy. And then I just kept refinancing and getting more debt to be like, oh, I want that MacBook Pro, and I want this thing, and I want that thing, and just kept piling on the debt. And oh, I want to go on this like cool holiday. Let's
Yeah.
take out more debt. And it just sort of spiraled a bit, and it just never really paid off because you'd be incurring the interest and paying off the minimum payments, but it was just a
I
bit
think
of a
that's what we don't realize we student learn because we always put our mind like, when you get it, it's like, oh, you know what? You act like it's free. And you know what? When I finish uni, I'm gonna have money, and when I be rich, I'm just gonna pay like that. People don't realize you're gonna have a lot of things to pay. You're gonna have like be more independent. By the way, you say you live in London. I thought you was in Poland because I got
no. So I'm planning to move to Poland.
okay. I thought you was already there.
No. So I was there for 2 months because my family live there. So
Okay.
I go visit quite often,
Mm.
and I spent 2 months there until January, and then I came back in January, and I'm back in London now. So this is where I
Good.
live.
So I'm just gonna go straight to it. Like, where is this passion come from? Because I know, like, I mean, by the way, like, very like hat off. Like, your YouTube channel is amazing. It's very like appealing. It's attractive, and when people go there, I end up like because I wanted to learn how to trade, and most of the information actually I have is because of you and many other YouTubers as well. You are actually one of them. Actually, I put it on the side. Subscribe straight away. I went to all your content. The way you explain things is good, and you show your portfolio as well. So passive income. So why is the idea come from? Like, first of all, you don't just do for yourself, you actually want to do that for other people as well. Why do you do that?
I don't know, I've always loved helping other people. It's always been something that's been ingrained in me.
Yeah.
And you know, whether it's volunteering at animal shelters or volunteering at homeless shelters at Christmas, or just like helping people generally. So I think it comes from a place of that kind of wanting to give back and help
Yeah.
people. And it's weird because I remember doing psychology at uni, and it was that kind of thing of like, there's no such thing as like actual altruism. You're just doing it to make yourself feel good. And I was like, well, either way, it's still helping people.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think part of it is that, and the other part just stems from, you know, I know so many people who are so unhappy with their lives and, you know, suffer from anxiety and depression. And most of that, when you really get down to it, stems from their work.
Yeah.
It stems from them hating their jobs, having so much stress of like, you know, I have to go to work every day and I
Yeah.
hate my job, or you know, I might enjoy my job, but the stress of like having to pay the bills and things. And it's sort of trying to get people to see that it's possible not to be 100% stuck in that kind of rat race hamster wheel of just working 40 hours a week for the majority of your life
True.
in stressful jobs.
I think that's a very good thing because many people today we go to work, but most of the time we don't really enjoy the job that we're doing, but we just love the money. All right.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you describe as passive income? What it is? Because I know some people are like, well, you know, I heard about passive income. You know, what is passive income for you?
Anything that just keeps generating income for me, even
Yeah.
when I'm asleep, basically.
Okay.
So
Make money while you're sleeping.
yeah, essentially. So things like my YouTube channel, for example, whilst that's not necessarily 100% passive, because I do have to make the videos and keep going, because eventually, you know, they've got these new rules now where you have to keep 4,000 hours of watch time within 12 months.
Really?
So if I stopped making videos after probably 12 months, you know, I would, unless my views kept up like they are now.
Oh, they shut you down. Oh,
Yeah, they wouldn't shut me down. They just stop paying me AdSense, for example.
okay, I get it.
So that would no longer be passive income from the AdSense. But as long as I keep doing them and I enjoy them, I see it as passive income because I enjoy making the videos and it keeps generating me income month on month. Even videos I've made a year ago are still generating me that income. Things like I sell my budgeting spreadsheet on Etsy. You know, I made that once, and every week I have sales of that spreadsheet. So that is completely passive income. That is made once, never have to touch it again, and it generates sales. So basically anything that whilst you're sleeping could be making you money.
So I think like whatever you do, actually you want to make profit, whatever you do. I mean, that's because many people have like a hobby. We do things just because we love it and we don't think about actually making money. You have a lot of pressure when it comes to YouTube.
Pressure, yeah. It's funny
Because your
because
video is like, oh my God, you like, if, like they're very like clean and everything. You put a lot of work there. That's why I like podcasts, just audio. That's it. Video.
yeah, it's definitely a lot of work. And I don't think I realized how much work it was until I started properly doing it. But it's a balance of, yes, it's a lot of work, but also the reward you get from it. And I don't just mean monetary reward. I mean like the amount of people that send me messages, like emails, DMs on Instagram, just saying like, thank you so much, because of you, this has happened. And because of you, I've done this. And I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. And it's that like feel good feeling of like, wow, I've actually helped so many people. And I remember once I posted on Instagram going, oh, I think I'm going to quit my channel. I don't think I'm going to do videos anymore because there are so many like trolls and haters, and it's really difficult. Like, I'm generally quite a strong person, but I think it was really starting to get to me and wear me down. And when I posted that, I was like absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of people that replied and told me stories about how I'd helped them and how much they enjoyed my videos. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so lovely. So whilst there is pressure of, you know, I treat it like a job now. I treat it as,
but you don't feel like you're working all the time because everything is just like, you know,
I
because I
work
know
like
you do a lot of things, but like the money's coming everywhere and you don't, because you have to be consistent as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, I think with YouTube, it's that consistency. And I know that that really helps with like the algorithm and things. And obviously your audience expects the consistency. And I see it as a second job because of like, you know, if I was going to work in another like proper job, I could not wake up on a Saturday and be like, oh, I don't fancy doing it today and just not go in. I would just be like, right, pull yourself together, make yourself a coffee and go to work. So I treat it as that now. I might wake up and be like, oh, I really don't want to film today. Like, I'm really not in the mood. I will just get myself over it and I will film. And whilst I am currently absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of work I'm doing, I am starting to feel it, like the burnout. And because I've sort of acknowledged it, I have been very sort of adamant of saying like no to things now, because I used to be so excited of like, yes, I want to help everyone, I want to do everything for everyone.
You have to be selfish sometimes.
So I think now I'm more kind of aware that I need the downtime. Whilst I'm all about the 24-hour hustle, downtime is important.
But I think the good thing about it is because you're doing that, like, it's like short term for a long term goal, right? You don't want to spend all your life just keep being this busy. I think you want to do it until you build something that's going to make sure like you generate money without really working. That's what you want to do, or you still want to keep the same energy for maybe 20 years later?
No, you're very right. It is basically a short-term thing for me, in order to have that kind of long-term view. And it's, for me, it's a 2-year goal now. So it was 3 years, a year's up. So 2 more years left. And then I'm going to sell this place and move. So I can do it for 2 more years. If I'm a bit less sort of intense, if I have, say, the 1 day a week or the few hours a day or whatever it ends up being. But if I have some downtime to myself, I can probably do it. So.
I think it's a good thing because many people these days, especially the new generation, right? People, they work, but we're in a generation where we feel like we're not really going to retire. If you want to focus on the classic 9-to-5 way for when you retire, you get your money. By the way things are going right now, unemployment, and then we're going to work until like till we die, 80, 90 or whatever. And I think trying to think like yourself, I think is very good. Like yesterday, many people didn't have those information. Today with the internet, have people like yourself, like teaching other people to become like financially free as well. I think that is very like something really good. I know you talk a lot about like investing in the stock market as well. So the mentality that you have, did it come before the stock, before you start investing? Or because I know some of your video, you was more like, oh, I'm not like really pro my portfolio is like that. You always, I mean, now maybe one of your few last video, I think you're more confident about when you talk about the stock, but you always want to make sure you don't want to sound like a pro, you know what I mean? Because when you talk to money is that, I don't know if I'm wrong, but so does it start after that or before? The stock market, it was just a bonus, or you become having like that mentality of passive income, when you discover the stock market?
It kind of came hand in hand. So the whole thing for me started in the summer of 2019. I had a bit of a nervous breakdown, mental breakdown, nervous breakdown, whatever you want to call it. And I got signed off work for 5 weeks, and my doctor basically said, I want you to go and basically be with your family, because I was on my own in London. I live on my own, my family was gone, and she said, go stay with your family, like you need to get away. And she was a bit worried about me being home alone. And having that time to not have to worry about work, to not have to think in a week's time, I have to go back to work, and having like a complete, almost like circuit breaker, to use the latest jargon, it was amazing. And being close to my family and not having to worry about going back to the office, it really made me think. And that's when I started thinking about this potentially kind of like financial freedom. And I didn't actually know that it was like the FIRE movement or anything like that. I just cautiously began sort of looking into things on YouTube. And that's when I came across a lot of channels that were already sort of almost there, and they were talking about financial independence. And I was like, oh my God, I want this. I totally want this. So that's how I found it. And because most of the YouTubers talking about financial independence always talk about sort of investing, I sort of almost found it at the same time. I didn't take the steps for a while. I initially wanted to sort of plow money into debt. And then I very cautiously, I got like the free trade app, and then I was like, right, I'm going to buy like a stock here and a stock here. And then just like baby steps, and then started learning more about it.
I bet that feeling, that feeling when you have the money back. Because the thing is, I know you do it with YouTube, you have to wait. With the stock market, like sometimes the same day be like, oh my God, this is like, yeah.
It's really addictive, I think.
And it is actually. I think it just like is addictive because first of all, it pushes you to not spend money outside like we normal go out. Whatever you want to spend money on something, you're always gonna convert. Oh my God, this £10, this is like few stock, like even like pennies, it count because in the stock market, even 5 pence is a lot of money. Like it make a difference, but at the same time, it make you want to spend more on the stock. You always transfer money all the time. I know it's your money, but you always feel like I have to put it there, At the same time, it's good because you're saving. It's just crazy how much you realize how much you're saving, but the danger, if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose a lot of money as well.
Yeah. And I do think it kind of scares me sometimes when I see certain videos online and the way people are approaching things. I always try to sort of say to people like, yes, whilst I'm taking this risk, because I'm really transparent about everything. So I'm like, yes, I invested into this and this, and this is what I did. But I try to heavily caveat, like, yes, I might have invested in Bitcoin, for example.
I see you moving on Bitcoin. No, I saw your last video talking about it. Have you right?
I spent a long time.
I think you put 200, right? 200 or 300.
Something like that. Yeah, I think
I'll watch your video.
Yeah, thank you. But I spent a long time saying I wouldn't touch it, it's too risky, stuff like that. But as your financial situation changes and as you become more comfortable, you become more confident taking risks. And for me, it was very much, I've gotten out of debt, I have no debts, I have an emergency fund, I have like, £12,000 invested. I can take the risk to put a few hundred in Bitcoin. And it's trying to get that across, because I'm worried that people will be like, oh, she's invested in Bitcoin, so it must be a good investment. Let me just do it. And I'm always scared, when I put things out, that people will just blindly follow.
I mean, as long as you let people know, like that's your own decision, because I always say to people, before you invest, you have to make sure the money that you're putting, you actually, you don't mind actually losing the money. That's at the start, it's good, but when you start growing a lot of money, it's like, even if you have money, you just feel that way as well. But do you think like investing is a big part of your goal when it comes to passive income? Because I know you do a lot, like YouTube and other businesses as well, and you talk about dividend as well, because I know like you invest more in dividend stocks. So do you think this is more like part of the big part of it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's definitely more part of the kind of longer term, like being financially independent when I'm 35, because my initial thing is very much like get to the point where I can just do things like YouTube and not work full time. But that to me is still work. It's just work I enjoy. So like I said before, if I stopped doing it, probably for 12 months, I'd still make income, but it would tail off, less and less people would view, therefore the ad revenue would go down. And whilst I can't see myself, stopping making videos, for me, it's 100% about having the option. It's having the option of working, of where I want to work, how I want to work, and when. So that you only really get through investments, unless you become a successful writer of a book or music or something, where you get royalties. Investments are in my opinion, sort of the biggest way to get passive income, like fully passive.
Yeah.
Don't have to do anything kind of income.
And when you come to dividend, have you learned about it? Like, it took you a while to learn it, to understand about it? Because I think for people that actually invest in dividend, you don't really follow just the trend. You buy stuff, even when the stuff is not really growing fast, right?
Yeah. So
How
I
does it
think
work?
I sort of started off with investing mostly just in dividend stocks.
Yeah.
And I've moved away from that in terms of like, it's not like I'm not investing in dividend stocks. I still very much am.
Yeah.
But I'm also investing in all the other sort of like growth and value, etc., because I want to have the diversity.
Mm.
And for me, I've always found it easier to understand because I'm a chartered accountant. So I spent 4 years, learning accounting and company financials. And
Yeah.
whilst it wasn't necessarily sort of stock market focused, very much all the kind of basics of how companies work and all the ratios and company accounts and what a financial statements are and dividends and all that kind of stuff. Like I spent 4 years having it like ingrained in my brain.
Yeah.
So whilst it's the way I see it is like English grammar for me, because I teach English part-time.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible at trying to teach grammar. And it's weird because I spent most of my life in England. I speak English very well. And I could tell you, that's grammatically incorrect. But I couldn't tell you why. Like, because it's just something that was ingrained into me, throughout my life. Like, this is how you say this and that. But in order to sort of explain it, it's so much more difficult. And you're like, oh, I get it in my head. But it's so difficult to get across.
Yeah.
And that's why I've sort of tried to stay away from making videos like that.
Because you was turning into that actually, like a David and Queen, it was like a lot of, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but the thing is at the same time, it's more like a slow paced as well. But I believe you have to pull, I don't know, do you have to put the same amount of money every single month? That's how it works?
You could. I don't. I put what I can each month. The whole point is to consistently invest. So, if you put the same amount, obviously it works better. But for me, it's like whatever I can put in that month, I put in. And the main goal is just to consistently keep investing. So if it's this month, it's £100 and this month it's 500, it doesn't matter because over time it'll even out anyway. But yeah, it's about sort of trying to dollar cost average in, and 1 month the price might be higher, 1 month it might be lower, and over time it will just average out, so you're not buying at a high and selling at a low, and that's it.
I have a lot of things to ask you, but I don't have enough time. I was just gonna say, so for somebody today, actually, you do 9 to 5. Same people, they have kids, busy life, but they're tired of the way they live. They just want to make money. They want to have that passive income, extra money coming, and they want to retire early. Like, what advice you can give to that kind of person who have no knowledge? She just you just blow the mind of the person right now. She want to be free like you. So what kind of advice? Like, because I know online there is so much information. People lie a lot as well. So what can you do to that person? What can you say?
I think the main thing is don't think that it's an easy ride, because I think a lot of people think, oh, this is like the magic formula to get out of my job. Like, oh, I'm just going to do it. And they think, within a year, they're going to be financially independent. It's going to take time. And whilst for some people, it's a shorter time, because either they have better paying jobs or, they don't have kids. So like for me, for example, a lot of people say like, oh, it's all well and good because you don't have kids or a husband or whatever, so you can spend all your time hustling. So yes, you might have kids, it might take longer because you can't spend your evenings every single day working. But the number one piece of advice I'd say is sort of don't think it's going to be an easy ride. Be prepared for it to be quite tough for a few years, and stick with it. Get your budgets together. Budgeting is like the most important thing ever. Get your budgets together, preferably not just like this month, it's this. I very much preach of like, look ahead 12 months. Literally, I mean, I have a 3-year budget. That's how OCD I am. But 12 months is enough, really.
Wow.
I'm intense, but 12 months is enough. Really budget your money, look at what you're spending, and whilst things might be nice to have, do you need them? So for example, you know, I have like Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, etc., but I only pay for Spotify because my dad pays for the other two. If I had all three myself and I was paying for them and I was in a position where I was like really trying to squeeze money into being financially independent, I would say, which of the three do I need the most? And I would pay for one of them. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm bored of Netflix. So now I'm going to cancel Netflix and get Amazon for a while.
Yeah.
And sort of, you know, moving expenses around, really squeezing your expenses, and then getting extra income. Like nothing will help you as much as getting extra income. Even if it's only a couple hundred a month, that will make a huge difference. Paying off debt, again, overpaying. So if you make that extra 200 a month, you know, put that full 200 initially towards any debt you have. Again, I don't include mortgage in that. Some people do. I personally don't. Steamroll ahead with all your debts, overpay as much as possible, and then all that money that you were paying towards debt, start putting into investments. And I guess a lot of people, you know, they need to think about what's more important to them, because there are some people who, you know, just want that full-time flexibility of not working, which will take a long time for most people. But for a lot of others, it's just knowing that they have enough money that they could take like a year out. And that instantly takes the pressure off. Like when I think about the 0 hours jobs that I do, I don't get stressed out. I'm like, why don't I get stressed out here? Oh, it's because I have the option to leave whenever I want.
Yeah.
If I know that something's bad or someone, you know, winds me up too much or makes my life difficult, I know I've got the option to leave. And that instantly just makes you go, okay, this is okay. This is fine. I can leave whenever I want. And for a lot of people as well, it's just going part-time. It's wanting to have more time with family. And that's a lot more achievable than people think, you know. You can get that a lot quicker than full financial independence. Sorry, I've gone off and like
no, like that's a good thing, you know, like, you know, it's a good thing that you're actually saying that, because I know a lot of people that actually struggle. I know I was going to ask you a lot of things, but we don't have actually enough time, because I see something you were talking about, women actually not investing. It's just weird because I don't see, even on YouTube, I don't see a lot of women talking about the whole, like, you know, stock market. I don't know why. I think that's another topic I really want to talk about it. If you're free.
I think we've got 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Why?
So I looked into this. I did like a video with someone and I did a lot of research into it actually. And it seems to be because women are, I guess, a bit more risk averse than men, according to this research. These are not my words. This is the research I looked into. And because of that, they tend to save more rather than invest. And then men tend to invest more.
Yeah.
And the reality is, when all these like investment platforms did all the research, women actually have better returns over time in investments than men.
Why?
It's because men tend to go for more speculative investments and take more risks.
You think we're more emotional?
Yeah. So women are more sort of like, let's take less risks, and whilst the returns might be slower, we're not going to keep taking the risks. And whilst, you know, high risk can be high return, if you keep only investing in risky stuff, you're probably over time not going to perform as well as just like a stable investor.
Sure.
But I think
I sell one of my share, and because I bet, how was your week, by the way? You have a crazy week as well, because the last couple of days, oh my God. And I sell it, and then when I went back to that, I was like, oh my God, why did I do that?
Yep,
I'm learning.
exactly. Never do that. I always say this. Don't panic sell. I did like a panel a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they asked about like top tips for newbies. And I was like, never panic sell. I see this happen a lot. You know, I had one of my friends as an example, Beyond Meat. They got into Beyond Meat and then it kept sort of dropping and they sold. And then all of a sudden they announced a partnership with Taco Bell and it just like skyrocketed. And I was like, see,
It's like now I get out of Zoom and now I can see. I wish it can go back to about $4, but now it's like I don't think it's gonna go back. I was expecting today to be like yesterday, but you cannot really read the market, you know. And also, what I want to say, congratulations for the nomination as well. So, how do you feel about it? That's a really good thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I saw people sharing it, and I sort of just sent them a message, and I was just like, "Hey, like, how does this work? Like, how do you get nominated and stuff? So I don't miss the boat next year." And they actually came back to me, and she was like, "Oh, actually, loads of people have been nominating you already, so your name's on the list." I was like, "Oh,
I mean,
great!"
you know, actually, that's the reason why. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for anybody actually, just listen to it if you like whatever you hear. She actually give a lot of advice when it comes to financial freedom, you know, dividend. And I know you don't want to talk too much about dividend, but like, you know, the whole stock market, many advice about how you can save money, how to become financially free. So I'm gonna put a link there if you actually want to go to a YouTube channel, Instagram, and the website as well. So thank you again for having you today. There's anything else you want to say before we go?
No, I don't think so. Just thank you so much for inviting me onto the show. It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you a lot, and see you next time.
See you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.